Since that crazy quarter-final win over Newcastle, it's been irrelevant. Yeah? We've clinched our spot in the DFB Pokal final with a fantastic performance, kept pushing in the Bundesliga, but also had to manage some rotations, resulting in our disappointing loss to Frankfurt. Now, though, it's all eyes on the Champions League semi-final. We face Manchester United, a massive challenge, but this team is ready to show its strengths on the biggest stage. Let's go, let's make it special.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 41 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with Leipzig. I hope you're doing well and coming up today. We've got the Champions League semi-final. We're off to Manchester to take on United at Old Trafford in the first leg before going back to the Red Bull Arena for the second. So hopefully we can make our way through to a Champions League final in our first season here at RB Leipzig. If you think we can, do make sure to go down below, leave a thumbs up, all that good stuff on today's episode. But yesterday had to make our way through the quarterfinals against a fellow Premier League team yet again in Newcastle United. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Actually pretty relieved to pick up a win against those guys, considering we had no Sesko and no Marban for those games. But thankfully thumped them 3-1 there at St James's Park before we did lose 3-2 at home. Couple of late goals there did mean that they did pick up a win on the day, but thankfully we still went through thanks to that first league win. So hopefully this time can actually pick up a result at home as well as away. Manchester United are kind of in between the strength of the two teams that we've taken on so far in the knockouts of the Champions League. Arsenal it was in the round of 16 before then, and that's based on the fact that they sit between them on the Premier League table. Arsenal in third, Newcastle in sixth, and you've got Man United in fifth, a few points above Newcastle. So hopefully we can get past Arsenal, we can get past these guys. We've played a couple of games off the back of that episode that we did get through yesterday. We are on the verge of picking up the Bundesliga title. It could happen during the course of today's episode. To be fair, we had a chance to seal it the game before this first leg against Man United, but unfortunately our rotation did not get the job done. We did pick up, though, a 2-0 win over Mainz off the back of that loss in the second leg to Newcastle. Diaz and David Brown there, they picked up the goal, so that meant only one more win, and that would secure us the Bundesliga title. That, or if Bayern Munich, they drop any points, then it is ours for this season here at RB Leipzig. Then we actually moved on to the DFB Pokal semi-final and wiped the floor here with Nuremberg, thanks to 3 first half goals, a double to Marban coming back from injury, also Talas Magno and Ben Seguir from the spot late on to seal us a 4-0 win. So we fresh Nuremberg there have made our way through to a cup final, so still on here for a treble. In terms of trophies that people care about, have already got the Super Cup as well as that Euro South American thing. So it could be 5 trophies here this season at RB Leipzig if all goes well. If we do that, not too sure what the KloppBot is going to come up with, because they're not too sure what the point of hanging around is, even if we're going to be signing some quite interesting players here next season at RB Leipzig. But in the final, a little bit surprisingly, won't be Bayern Munich, because they got beaten 3-1 by Borussia Dortmund. So we've got an interesting game coming up in between the two legs of this Champions League semi-final, considering that's a preview for the DFB Pokal final, which is currently at the end of our season. We'll see if that stays the case come the end of today's episode. And unfortunately, then suffered a loss to Eintracht Frankfurt in our first chance to seal the Bundesliga title. But as you'll see when I bring up the team sheets, we put out a very, very heavily rotated team for that game, making sure all our first teamers would be fit for this clash against Manchester United. So a little bit frustrating there that we did blow a 1-0 lead there at halftime, but hopefully we can pick it up, if not in this Borussia Dortmund game, because again, we're probably going to rotate quite heavily for that one, either against Cologne or Werder Bremen in our last couple of games of the Bundesliga seasons. We're in a strong position here to focus on this Champions League semi-final. Hopefully we can get past the 5th place team in the Premier League in Man United, but to be fair, they come to this one in some really good form under Zinedine Zidane. Their captain is Marcus Rashford. That's quite interesting considering what's going on currently in real life, but these days in game, he's 30 years old. He looks pretty good. Hopefully can find a way to keep him quiet there, it looks like, on the left-hand side. The vice-captain, that's Matthias de Ligt. He's still there at 28 years old. A very good centre-back, not too good at dribbling, so hopefully we can try and force him to do a bit of that, but everything else does look pretty darn good. But the key player, that would be Mason Mount. Wasn't expecting that for Man United. Honestly, I think the vice-captain and captain actually look like better players there at United, but apparently Mason Mount, he's their key player. Yeah, not too sure about that one, but Mason Mount, 49 caps for the national team, obviously doing a decent job there at the Red Devils currently. So those are the players that we need to keep an eye out on here in the semi-final. Hopefully, though, can beat these guys just like we've done to Arsenal and Newcastle and make our way through to the Champions League final on the other side of the draw. Once we have a look at what's going on, it is going to be Real Madrid versus PSG. So you think that would be a bit tougher than Man United, and finally might get a chance to get away from the Premier League teams. But be fair, first things first, got to get past the Red Devils and put these English teams to bed once and for all. Thankfully as well, we do have Marban back for the second leg. You saw him come back in that cup game and pick up 2 goals. He can start for us here, hopefully, in both legs. It's only recommended for about 75 minutes. In fact, it's not the case anymore. That was what was going on in that cup semi. So hopefully he'll do a good job for us, a bit stronger up front than we were for that Newcastle quarter-final. We do still have Sesko out, as well as Antonio Nusa. He picked up an injury in that game we just played. Also Restes as well. He comes back from those pulled ankle ligaments that kept him out of the second leg against Newcastle. So we're a lot stronger than we were for that tie. Benjamin Sesko is still 6 to 12 days away. So to be fair, I thought he'd be out for the rest of the season. He might be back in time for a Champions League final, at the very least a DFB Pokal final. Hopefully we can give him a European final yet again to try and stamp his mark on, because of course last year should have got a hat-trick in the Europa League final, but of course when he had the chance from the spot, he tried a silly chip down the middle and the goalkeeper saved it, but thankfully already 3-0 up at that point, didn't cost us anything. But Sesko could be back for a Champions League final and also a DFB Pokal final in the next episode if we can make it that far. Hopefully that'll be the case. We can make our way past Manchester United, but it's our first time going to Manchester in the save. I said we're going to bin him off in yesterday's episode. Thankfully, he's got a bit smarter since then, so he's come back to life before he gets stuck in for the first leg of this Champions League semi. Time to check out the KloppBot's hotspots in Manchester. So seeing as he's back from the dead, here's what the holiday KloppBot's come up for us here in Manchester. You can see again, he's given us this time 3 accommodation options. I've just gone with number 1 because it sounds a bit more interesting. We're going to the Stock Exchange Hotel, a luxury boutique hotel housed in the former Manchester Stock Exchange, offering elegant rooms and top-notch service, ensuring a comfortable stay for our team. Here's the website. It looks a little bit fancy without showing you too much actually of what's going on in the rooms itself. I'm recording this a couple of days before Christmas. This one's going to be coming out on Christmas Eve. So obviously lots of Christmas themed things, which probably won't be the case just before a Champions League semi-final. But here's the place we're staying. There's a bit that we can check out there in terms of the heritage with the stock exchange and whatnot. Also, they have a quite nice restaurant there apparently, which we should be able to check out. Going down further, I'm not sure if that's a room or a lounge. If it's a room, that's a lot of chairs for a single room, but anyway, it looks pretty fancy. That's where we're going to be staying there in Manchester. You go down a bit further, there's the restaurant, the Tender Brizzery. That's certainly an interesting name. Also, I've got the Sterling Bar, where we can have some drinks, hopefully off the back of picking up another away win here in the Champions League in a first leg. But yeah, that's the place we're going to be staying at. Not too much there in terms of seeing what the actual rooms look like, but apparently it's quite nice. We're going to stay there at the Stock Exchange Hotel in Manchester, but thankfully the KloppBot has sorted his act out in terms of activities. First up, going to do some indoor skydiving at iFly Manchester. We'll experience the thrill of skydiving in a safe indoor environment. This seems quite sensible instead of actually doing it for real, to be fair. Not too sure if there'd be too much enjoyable sights there if you're actually doing skydiving in real life in Manchester. So to be fair, doing it indoors, you might not be missing out on too much anyway, but this activity promotes team bonding through shared excitement and is suitable for all skill levels. Hopefully no injuries from indoor skydiving. We'll just see here what's actually on the website. I mean, it looks like any other iFly type website or any other indoor skydiving website. Just people that are floating in the air because there's air that's keeping them up and doing all that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing there first up in Manchester, some indoor skydiving. Next up though, some more food, as we have a private dining experience at the French. We'll enjoy a bespoke dining experience at one of Manchester's premier restaurants. The team can indulge in exquisite cuisine while enjoying a private setting conducive to relaxation and camaraderie. Now to be fair, there's no menu on the actual website, so I can't do too much food porn here for this part. This is the food page. You've got gravy on top of, I want to say that's duck and vegetables, not very big portions, but you know, fancy dining, that's kind of what they do. Going down a bit further, You've also got some veggies, I think that is, with breadcrumbs on top. There's probably a really fancy name for that, but you know, it's a restaurant, so I can't figure out what on earth that's supposed to be, especially if they don't have the menu on their website. There's a big chunk of meat. There's some bread, which does look slightly overdone, truth be told, but maybe I'll be wrong with that one. Apparently it's their signature. And going down a bit further, there's some bacon, there's some big meats. I've got Brussels sprouts, or I think that might even be artichokes cut in half. That looks like a type of cabbage. There's the Ponzi restaurant chef there, who'll be giving us all our food. There's another one of the dishes. There's the guy who's going to be giving us all the booze that we can have during the meal. And there's what it looks like there on the inside. A little bit more food there that we can see. There's the chef again and a bit more of the food. You know, I think that just about does it there for this website. We keep going down here and you actually do get quite a bit of food. It looks like the boys might get quite full off the back of this one. But to be fair, they are quite small plates, so I'm not too sure if we need to worry about too many carbs in the body before a Champions League semi with the size of those plates and also stuff like that. It does look half decent. Hopefully it'll be a good meal considering the KloppBot has picked it out. So we're going to go there and do a private dining experience at the French and to round things off, lose some of those carbs, and also this could be quite useful in terms of a warm-up. Before the first leg of this Champions League semi, we're going to go to the National Football Museum and check out the interactive football experience. We'll engage with football history and test our skills through interactive exhibits. This visit offers both educational and entertaining elements tailored for football enthusiasts. To be fair, this is probably going to be the best museum recommendation the KloppBot's given us so far in this entire save. There's the website. There are some exhibits taking place here at the moment which we can go check out. There's something there called Marcus and also Black in the game, but also apparently there's some interactive displays that the players can use to warm up for this Champions League semi. So a little bit actually of extra training before we get stuck into this game, but hopefully we can keep our good form here against the English teams in the Champions League going and take a lead back to the Red Bull Arena in this Champions League semi. And here are the team sheets for the first leg here of this Champions League semi-final. Manchester United going, it looks like with a 4-3-3, that's quite a strong team too. It does look like Zinedine Zidane might have a bit more pulling power than Ruben Amorim, albeit it's a bit hard to tell at this early stage. In terms of us, thankfully, at full strength, just Marban in there for the injured Sesko, but thankfully, apart from that, at full strength for what feels like the first time in a long time here in the Champions League. Somehow quite a few of our boys still on a heavy workload, despite the fact they didn't play against Eintracht Frankfurt. Not too sure how that's happened, but hopefully we can put out a decent performance here yet again away from home and take at least some parity back to the Red Bull Arena for that second leg. And we don't have to wait long at all here for the first highlight of this game. It's a throw-in for us here, albeit there's a poor one there, and we give the ball straight to Ugarte, but thankfully the defensive midfielder puts that one over the bar, but that was a shocking start. Thankfully, doesn't prove costly, still 0-0. And pretty shortly off the back of their opening chance, the Man United, which we gifted them, now we're down the other end here for a corner. Osterwalde will put this one far post. Martel forces a really good save there out of Onana's. Game's definitely not true to life because he probably should have let that one go through him. Now Kudus makes his way inside the box and Onana with another really good save. What's going on, Football Manager? Are you bugged with this team? They're not that good in real life, seriously. Unfortunately, it looks like nothing doing from the subsequent corner, albeit we do actually get a shot off there, and Onana makes a good diving save. That's three pretty good bits of work there from the Manchester United goalkeeper to keep it at 0-0. Now down the other end, Kobe Mainu there finds Højlund, who runs outside the box and plays that one all the way back to Matthias de Ligt. Now Singo, he'll find Garnacho, who somehow links up there with Marcus Rashford. That might be 1-0 to Man United. Hopefully though, he might have just straight offside. That did look a little bit too good to be true, and thankfully the players aren't celebrating because VAR, there's no David Coote here. This one does get disallowed to Garnacho. He was onside, but Rashford is just there in front of him. So thankfully Garnacho didn't hit the target, otherwise that probably would have been 1-0 and it stays scoreless. And now we're down the other end here for a throw. Martel picks out male hero Xavi Simons. Will take on the shot. Unfortunately, that one goes just over the bar. Lots of action early, but still at 0-0. And the early action continues in this game now. 20 minutes in, a throw for Man United here inside the final third. Garnacho plays that one back there to Kobe Mainu. That's a stunner. Nothing that Resties can do about that one. It finds its way into the top right corner. Beefier, a goal's been coming. Just wasn't too sure which team it would be. Unfortunately, it's the Red Devils at home, and for the first time in a long time in a Champions League game, we go down 1-0 there. That's an absolutely stunning strike that from Manu to give United the lead. And going forward to the half-hour mark now, and it's a throw for us here inside the final third. Magno to Almas looking for Marban. Unfortunately, a foot in there does mean United can clear the lines, albeit not too far. Almas will find Kudus. Some good short passing here between him and Martel. Now, Almas plays that one out there to Osterwalder in a bit of space down our left-hand side. But look again for Marban. Surely it would have been a penalty, but thankfully Xavi Simons can poke that one home. We make it 1-1 after previously Onana made some pretty good saves to keep it at 0 all early stages. We eventually beat him and grab an equaliser. So hopefully that's going to be a sign of things to come here in the semi-final there. I think that's Gutierrez who absolutely wipes out Marban, but thankfully Xavi, they leave him wide open. He can put it away there in the right-hand corner to make it 1-1, albeit a highlight straight from the restart of Man United. They are on the ball to lit. We'll find Mason Mount, the key player, still not too sure about that one, but now Manu makes his way forward down that left-hand side off the back of that screamer he scored to give them a 1-0 lead. Some good short passing, and Marcus Rashford will curve that one into the top right corner, pretty much the exact same spot that Manu picked out, but that one from a bit of a different angle. Unfortunately, he was onside. We did not have that one level for long at all, straight from the restart, and Manchester United, they make it 2-1. Some good short passing. Mason Mount picks up the assist. Restes gets wrong footed, but to be fair again, don't think there's too much you can do about that one. It's a stunning strike, that one from Marcus Rashford, who might not be there too much longer in real life by the sounds of it, but a good goal from him, and Man United have their lead back. And only a few minutes on from that goal, United now got a throw in here on the halfway line, so hopefully can strike back pretty quickly, but unfortunately, that's a poor ball over the top there. Onana can claim that even as time to say what's your name, and plays it out there to the butcher in Martinez. We try and put him under pressure, but unfortunately, Manu there can link up with Fresh for the two goal scorers. They just keep hold of the ball. Now they try and switch this one out right through Ugarte and Mount before going back out left here to Marcus Rashford. He starts to make his way forward somehow. We leave him a bit open, but thankfully, some good work from us there to get that ball back. Diamonde, though, with a horrible back pass. Oh boy, this might put us in trouble now. 2-1, not too bad. 3-1. That's not very good, and that's an absolutely inexcusable goal to give away there. We do want to get that one back there. I think through Simons, who was tracking back, but Diamonde passes it back to Restes. Somehow doesn't see Højlund. To be fair, Restes actually might have had a chance to even dive on that one, but of course, that should really go down as a Diamonde a stake. An absolute gift, and Højlund takes it to make it 3-1 just before half-time. That's a dagger blow, because 2-1, not too bad, especially considering the quality of goals that they did score. 3-1 though, that's going to be a bit tougher for us to come back from. Hopefully we can just keep it at that. Obviously taking off Diamonde on a 6.1, that'll be for Klosterman. To be fair, quite a few players out there as well on some quite poor ratings, but most of them I think we'll give some time in the second half to try and turn those around. Diamonde really the only player I think who deserves to be yanked at half-time, but a poor first half from us there. 3-1 down in the first leg. Albeit we get an early chance here in the second half to try and do something from a set piece. Pick out Costello there at the far post, but unfortunately that here is not on target. Still 3-1 behind. And we've given our boys a decent chunk now of the second half to try and turn some reins around, and most of them have not, so we're going to make quite a few subs here, probably all of them with a half hour left, as Nelfamal headed over at right back, and the rest of our attackers, apart from Simons, they can get subbed as well. Ramsak for Marban, that's pretty disappointing, coming back from injury. Also, Budrago for Magno, and Salt for Kudus. So quite a few big names coming off here with this batch of subs, but to be fair, they're doing pretty poorly, as is Restes, but to be fair, not sure subbing the goalkeeper will do too much. We're in a bit of trouble. 3-1 down with a half hour left. And only a few minutes off the back of those subs going through. Now it's a free kick here to Man United. Looks like Pedro's going to take this one. Goncalves will look for the top left corner. That's an absolute screamer to get Man United in some really sick form here. They're looking like Barcelona against Liverpool a couple of years ago before the comeback at Anfield. Hopefully we can do something similar here. Restes gets beaten again, but I'm not too sure you can blame him too much for the goals that we're conceding in this one, albeit he's gone down to a 6.0, which does seem pretty harsh considering the other goal that was conceded. I think Diamonde takes blame for that, but now we're inside the last 15 minutes of this one in a world of hurt 4-1 down in the away leg. And just snuck our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, and obviously being this far down, we've got to try and grab a goal back, otherwise it's going to be a very tough ask for us back at home. So we're going to go more expressive, be a bit wider, and just see if that helps out. Also, let's chuck some of these players who are on support roles onto attack. Also, the ball-wing midfielder can go into support. Let's hope that might do something late on in this game. Usually our tactic is pretty good at goal scoring, but today, not so much. And Man United have been super clinical with their chances. They've had less shots on target than we have, and the XG overall is actually quite even. But for some reason, they're on fire, and we're not so much. It's 4-1 to Man United as we make our way now deep into injury time. That will do it. That's going to make things very, very tough for us to make a Champions League final for the next episode, because we're going to have to overturn a 3-goal deficit back in Germany. To be fair, at least we scored a goal through Simons, but around that, some absolute screamers to Mino Rashford and Goncalves with that free kick. The inexcusable one was the Diamonde one, which Højlund made the most of. It's a really poor performance, that one, even though stats-wise, you wouldn't think it was a 4-1 game, but hopefully we can find a way to turn things around. We'll see if we can gain some confidence in a potential title decider in between now and then as we take on Borussia Dortmund. And quite surprisingly, it's going quite well here in our Bundesliga game in between these two leagues of the Champions League semis. We've played a pretty rotated team for this game. We've just brought on some subs who are a bit more first team quality than we usually would late on in this game, because we are 2-1 up against Borussia Dortmund, dominating them as well. Let's just see what happens late on in this game, considering this could be the one where we lift the Bundesliga title, albeit maybe I shouldn't have come back, because now a corner here for Borussia Dortmund. Thankfully, easy save there for Simon at the near post, as you can see. Playing a pretty heavy rotation for this game. To be fair, Restes probably deserved the drop off the back of a 6.0, wherever it was in that previous game. But Dortmund were on the attack. Thankfully, Norby gets a foot, and we now find Ramsak, who's playing centrally for us now after giving Marban some minutes to get back from injury. He's actually done very well in this game, picked up both our goals, but this highlight currently a little bit sketchy. Somehow that's not a foul from Garosai, so Dortmund here can try and do something on the counter-attack. They eventually find Adeyemi, who looked like he might be a touch offside, but thankfully that's not the case. They might eventually try and get a shot off there looking for the top right corner, but thankfully that one goes just over the bar as we make our way into 4 minutes of added time. Ramsak with both our goals, one from the spot. They grab one back off the back of that second goal that we scored through Garosai, but somehow our rotation has beaten Borussia Dortmund, and that's the result that seals us the Bundesliga title. Was not expecting that off the back of that hammering that we did cop from Man United, but thankfully that should boost our morale up quite a bit going into the second leg of that Champions League semi-final. But there it is, our first Bundesliga title here at RB Leipzig. It's only taken just over a season in charge. We lift the Bundesliga off the back of a 2-1 win over Borussia Dortmund. Let's just make our way through here, the post-match celebration and all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't even matter if Bayern Munich drop any points now. I was hopeful that might be the case, but of course they're Bayern Munich. They're probably going to find some really good form now at this time of year and make things very difficult for us. But there it is, our first Bundesliga of the save, and we've only been here for a year and a half, so that was a lot quicker than I expected, especially after Bayern Munich won the league by 30 points last year. To be fair, we were only here for the second half of that season, but still, there's some drop-off from Bayern Munich, and to be fair, our rotation there have completely outplayed Dortmund as well. That game a lot closer than it probably should have been, but thankfully we get the job done, and that seals the Bundesliga titles. Hopefully we can find a way to turn around this 3-goal deficit against Man United, so we might have 2 cup finals to come back for in the next episode, because now we don't need to worry about trying to seal the Bundesliga title. That's happened in a game where I really didn't think we'd get the job done, considering the players that we did put out for that one. Let's just go forward now and see what pops up in the inbox off the back of that Bundesliga title. We might even click browse here as we've gone for today. For some reason, all the players, they must be partying. Let's go over to the inbox, and indeed, we clinched the title. That is a triple as well, of course, with the Super Cup and that weird European South American Europa League Cup thing that we did pick up during the preseason. But that is a great result. Our first Bundesliga title as well, it looks like, here at RB Leipzig. So hopefully we can start to make this team a bit dominant here in Germany if we don't get a chance to make the Champions League final, which, to be fair, is a long shot now with that 4-1 deficit. And we are back for the second leg of this Champions League semi-final, 4-1 down there. A big turnaround here from the boys. It's the exact same team that we put out for that first leg. Unfortunately, Sesko not quite back yet, but hopefully they can dig themselves out of that hole that they dug back at Old Trafford. There, Man United looks like they're also going with the exact same team, not surprising off the back of a 4-1 win, but it's fair to say this is going to be a tough old time for us here in front of our home fans. Need to win this by at least 3 goals to even take it to extra time. And not a good looking start either. 10 minutes in the first highlights a corner header. Man United try and find someone there in the post, but thankfully Almas can head that one away. Then Xavi heads that away, but Garnacho makes his way inside the box, but thankfully that's a pretty average shot. But early stages United are on the front foot and still have that 4-1 lead. And it's taken quite a while for the next highlight in this game, just past the half-hour mark. And again, Man United, they are on the ball with a free kick. They take their time too, as you'd expect, with the big lead they have. But so far, just passing their way through our defence. But big save, that one from Restes on the chance to Marcus Rashford. Thankfully, Restes might have stepped up off the back of that first league. To be fair, still not sure if he deserved that poor rating. I think Diamonde had a big hand in that one. That corner, thankfully, we somewhat deal with, albeit not for too long, but eventually Xavi Simons can clear our lines. But so far, all the highlights are in favour of the away team. Really need a goal soon in this one with the deficit that we are facing. Still 4-1 down as we make our way into only 1 minute of added time. And that does it for the first half, I think, here. Might have to start trying to throw the kitchen sink a bit earlier than I was hoping to, as we're still locked up at 0-0 on the day. Magno's out there on a 6.4. I think we need to be a bit ruthless here. Take him off for Udrago. Also, let's bring on Asnau at right back for Malhiro on a 6.5. And as well as that, I think here, need to put those blokes on support onto attack, because really, we now need to go after this one quite early compared to what we usually would do. So also go fairly wide, be a bit more expressive, and tell our goalkeeper to distribute quickly. Going to have to try here and turn this around from a long way out. It might mean we concede a few goals. Hopefully, though, it means that we score some, because definitely have to play catch up in this one. Still 4-1 down with only 45 minutes left. And hopefully an early sign here that those changes might do the trick at half time. We've got a throw in here on the halfway line, and as now we'll find Kudus, who makes his way forward down that right-hand side, pulls that one back there to Martel. As now they pass it between each other. A long-range effort there from Asnau nearly sneaks its way into the top left corner. That's a goal that United would have scored in that previous game, but unfortunately for us, that one does come off the woodwork, and we're still 4-1 down, about to make our way into the last half hour of this game. And I think now we need to go full out attack as well as take off Marban. He's been pretty poor over both legs for Ramsaka, of course, scored both goals in that Dortmund game. Attacking mentality as well, was hoping that positive might have paid off and kept us a bit more solid at the back. We can't really afford that now, just need to go all that attack. And also, let's chuck Martel onto support. A highlight starts even before some of those subs and those changes can go through. Man United try and clear these lines. We do get it back, and a ball over the top there. Picks out Simons, he pulls it back for Kudus, tight angle, but beats Onana, and we eventually take a lead here. Not too sure if going more attacking has even kicked in yet, so maybe there's some room here for more improvement from us late on in this game, but it might need to be a big late comeback here at the Red Bull Arena. But thankfully, we've finally got some life in this tie, as Kudus puts that one away to make it 4-2 with just under a half hour left. And just about to sneak our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, and it's time for us to make here one of our last couple of subs. Simons is down to a red heart, playing quite well, but Benzaguer can come off the bench for him. Can't do too much else, because we've already gone quite attacking, so we'll see if that change might help us out here late in this game. I don't think so, because Simons is one of our better players, but Benzaguer has been very good when coming on for us this season in his place. A highlight, though, does start right off the back of that sub. United, they clear their lines, and thankfully we tidy things up at the back. Diamonde goes on an adventure. Boy, he needs to try and turn things around off the back of that first leg, where he did cost us quite badly with that goal that we did concede before halftime. But again, as now links up nicely with Kudus down our right hand side. Very similar goal to the first one we scored, but it beats Onana again. We make it 2-0. We are right back in this one with still 20 minutes left, as now we'll pull this one back. First time finish from Kudus, and just find its way there inside that left hand upright. So we're 2-0 in front on the day, still 4-3 behind on aggregate, but definitely right back in this one, albeit with only 15 minutes left. And now we've got a few more players who dropped down to red hearts. Almas and Kudus, definitely not taking off Kudus on a hat-trick. So Musa can come on with our final sub there in box-to-box midfield, as we're now only a goal behind.
Yeah.
And in fact, not so fast for that previous sub, because we've actually got Udrago being forced from the field with an injury. So we'll just have to see here what we can do. Not too sure if Salt can do a job at left wing. but I'm pretty sure Almas can actually, so maybe instead of taking off Almas for Musa, it might be here Udrago coming off for Musa. Musa goes to box midfield, and we'll see what Almas can do as a left winger. When I first got here, he was our first choice left winger, so that was definitely the area that we needed to improve back last January. Let's see what Almas can do as a winger, even though he is on a deep red heart. We're now getting quite late though in this game. Time might be running out on us. To be fair, this is a game with not that many shots. A bit surprised considering we've actually had quite a few highlights, but we thankfully are still in this game with a 2-0 lead, only one goal down, and we have the ball about to make our way here into 5 minutes of added time. Moose off the bench there. He'll pull that one back for Almas now as a left winger, and he curves that one past Onana into the bottom right corner. It's all square as we make our way into 5 minutes of added time. Hold on here, Man United. You might be choking big time here at the Red Bull Arena. Lovely ball that from Musa to Almas, who we did switch to a left winger. Thankfully, it might have paid off as we make it 3-0, albeit now we go down the other end here for a free kick to Man United, but thankfully too much on that one, and Restes does have the ball. You'd think here, momentum on our side. Can we push for a winner inside regular time? Unfortunately, lose out there. They keep that ball through Luke Shaw. We are going to tightly mark him there through Martel. Somehow he beats us. A good foot in there from Costello on Pedro. But of all players, it's Anthony who puts that one away, and they make it 3-1 on the day, and they're back in front on aggregate. Are you kidding me? Anthony actually doing something useful. What is this universe we're living in? Onana's been quite good in this tie, and now Anthony, he blimmin' makes it 3-1 on the day, and that could be the goal that undoes all our hard work. Off the back of that, I just thought we'd get rid of the praise, and it didn't really make a difference. I feel sick about that one. We did so well late on in that game to make it 3-0 in the 90th minute, only for a highlight then, a free kick, and they find Anthony, who actually does something good at Manchester United and scores a winner. Man United are going to make the Champions League final. We suffer a 5-4 defeat. We left it way too late there, but I thought we just did enough there to take that one to extra time before Luke Shaw linked up with Anthony, and they score an away goal, which does mean they're going to go through the Champions League final in the end. That probably should have been 3-1 for both teams at home, but the Diamonde back pass in that first leg, that might be what's proven costly there in the overall tie, and we go down by a single goal despite that big late comeback in the second leg at home. Anthony seals Manchester United's spot in the Champions League final. So unfortunately, Anthony is the Grinch who stole Christmas here with this save, because we do not make a Champions League final here in our first full season at RB Leipzig. A 93rd minute goal to rule out that one a few minutes before from Aljif Almas, and we lose by a single goal there in a very entertaining Champions League semi-final. So Man United, they make their way through to the final, and that will be against Real Madrid after they picked up the same result that we did to turn around a deficit against PSG. So unfortunately, I think that first league there is where the blame does lie. A 4-1 loss really was always going to be tough, but we did so well to get it back to 4-all until Blimmin' Anthony actually did something decent for probably the first time in his Manchester United career. And yeah, that's a bit of a hard one to take, unfortunately, but it does mean that there's definitely a reason now to stay at RB Leipzig for another season as we try and pick up the Champions League, having not quite done the job this season. To be fair, it was a pretty good effort considering we had no Benjamin Sesko from the quarterfinals, who without a shadow of a doubt is our key player, but somehow Anthony has picked up a big goal there and sends Man United through to a Champions League final against Real Madrid. But that will do it for today's episode of Drago out for the rest of the season. A little bit frustrating, but to be fair, he's only a backup. Maybe someone like Diaz can do a job for us in the remainder of our season at left wing, but that will do it for today's episode. Blimmin' Zidane gets one over us there with Manchester United of all teams. Kudus with a brilliant performance in that second leg, but Anthony has just ruined it all there in the 93rd minute. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Obviously, seeing as we picked up the Bundesliga during the course of today's episode, we'll come back later this week. It won't be on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, probably on Friday, New Zealand time, Friday night. We'll have the next episode of this series. but we're just going to come back and play the DFB Pokal final against Borussia Dortmund, try and pick up a domestic double and a quadruple here this season to go alongside our Bundesliga and those 2 early trophies we did pick up in that weird Euro South American Challenge Cup thing, as well as the UEFA Super Cup. So hopefully we can finish the season off here on a high with a DFB Pokal win over Dortmund. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.